See when they find a judge.
Mark?
Yes. It works. It works.
Good. Mr. Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on today's docket. The very first case, Laura Summerson, The Backyard X LLC, trading as The Backyard, 131 South Schroeder Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership, requesting off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
Before we begin, for anyone who has not been before the board before, when your case is called, you'll come up, and if you're going to testify, you'll need to be sworn in. And then when you do speak, I ask you to lean into these microphones because we're being recorded and we need to pick up your voice. And if you may have to spell your name for the reporter who's down here to my left. Good morning, counsel.
Good morning. Abraham Hurl on behalf of Laura Summerson, Backyard X LLC. The trade name is The Backyard.
Okay. And ma'am, would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Hurdle?
The location is 131 South Schroeder Street, formerly trading as Patrick's. I believe it is kind of known as the oldest Irish bar in the country, formerly.
Really?
And the new owner, Ms. Summerson, plans to continue that sort of process with good food, drinks, and operate in a responsible fashion. If I may proffer, Ms. Summerson has worked for 25 years in the hotel and hospitality industry. I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, you are currently TAM certified, correct?
I am.
And will continue to be so. Any bartenders they've discussed having also be TAM certified. Their hours typically are going to be from the evening to about midnight. On the weekends, it'll be probably from about 11 a.m. to also about midnight. If there's a reason to stay open a little bit later, they may, but that's probably going to be more at the neighborhood request than anything else. If it's a slow night, they'll probably close early. They're going to install a few more lights on the outside, some security cameras which will be available to the police. And should the need ever arise to a situation where they have a big event or things are busy and they need to have some door control, they would hire security. Ms. Summerson has indicated that the nights it's going to be late where she'll be by herself. She will have other personnel there just to make sure that there's more than one person working at the time.
How large is it? How many?
The property, I've been to the property, I think is it 3
It's-
stories or 4 stories?
Well, it's operating on 2 stories. Each is about 900 square feet.
It's a rather snug operation.
Okay. And about how many people do you think you will have employed?
Two partners in the beginning, and then as needed.
Okay.
At this point, I'd ask the board to approve the application. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those.
The commissioners have questions?
None?
Well, only question I have is, part of your request is off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. If that's the case, how do you intend to comply with respect to the delivery of?
That was because on the second floor, we're doing events, so wine pairings and tastings. So that would be if somebody wanted those classes to be at their homes. So that might be misleading. We don't want to deliver alcohol.
Okay.
I don't know
It might have been
what
a
is
box that I had checked off. And
I don't know what that means.
So you're saying if I'm throwing a birthday party at my house, you would come and take care of that?
Right.
Okay.
But I don't want to be a liquor delivery service.
that would be, I'm sorry, I apologize. That would be more off-premises catering than it would be delivery.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we could, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything further?
Not at this time, no.
All right, on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, the testimony we've received this morning, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur.
I concur as well. Good luck.
Thank you, fellas. Yeah,
Exhibits for the record.
No exhibits.
okay.
Parminder Singh and Stanley Bolden, Gurgis LLC, trade name pending, 1434 East Fayette Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of Parminder Singh. Location is 1434 East Fayette Street.
Okay, anyone who's going to testify, please raise your right hand.
Right hand.
Right hands? Right hand, please.
Wait, we got.
Raise your right hands, please. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You can put your hand.
Mr. Hurdle?
With me is Parminder Singh. Mr. Bolden, unfortunately, is in the hospital. He's got some sort of flu. I do have a note. I would prefer not to enter it into the record. It is from Johns Hopkins. It doesn't have anything terribly specific on it, but
That's fine.
one of the public records if it's possible.
I hope he's all right.
My understanding is it's just the flu. He should be fine. He just couldn't make it today. Again, with me is Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh has roughly 10 years' experience in the alcohol business. I've gone over with him extensively, the fact that he needs to be ordering from wholesalers and making sure that he's carding everybody who could potentially be under 40. I believe he does have TAM certification already, and I actually have the certificate. This is my original. I would love it back. It does have what appears to be some sort of stain on it, but that is the alcohol awareness certificate.
So you don't want to offer it, just want to show it to us?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get you the original copy or a duplicate when we actually submit it
Okay,
as
it'll be
part of the
received.
checklist, assuming it's approved. This location is an existing operation. It's been there for several years. They plan to continue operating it exactly as it sits. We've talked to some people in the neighborhood. No one seems to have any objection at this time that we've come across. And again, it's a small convenience store / liquor store. The hours are roughly till midnight every night. Nothing's gonna change. I think that he does plan to spruce the place up a little bit. It does need a little bit of work on the outside. But other than that, nothing's gonna change. One thing that I did notice that is a concern is that he is located currently in South Carolina. And he is planning to look for an apartment and rent an apartment in the area as soon as this is approved.
Is Mr. Bolden going to work in the liquor store, or just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
excuse me.
working, yeah.
okay.
More than likely, one of the two licensees will be there at all times. If not, someone who is TAM certified will be there.
Okay. About how many people will be employed?
Me employ, yeah, I work over here.
How many employees do you plan to hire?
Two more. So
more.
Together 3.
Okay. And are these folks involved?
This is a friend of Ms. Bolden's who was here just in case they needed to testify with
Okay.
regards to that. And with me also is Mr. Kuldeep Singh. He is the current owner of the business. He's going to stay on for a little bit just to help Mr. Parminder Singh get used to some of the more unusual intricacies the business may have, make sure the point of sale system is smooth, things like that for the next 3 or 4 months.
Are they related?
Not at all, no. Singh happens to be like Smith in India, is my understanding.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
So only comment, the existing owner, Mr. Kuldeep Singh.
Kuldeep Singh, yes.
And Mr. Parminder Singh, I will give the current owner a lot of credit. Your history with the liquor board is clean. And in fact, it appears that in October, you passed an underage drinking operation.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Singh, you should learn from Mr. Singh.
Yeah, he did teach me.
Mr. Kuldeep Singh, I need your spelling of your first name before we get any further.
K-E-L-D-E-E-P.
Okay, is there anything further?
No, at this time, we would ask the board to approve the transfer.
All right, on the basis then of the materials that have been provided in the application, the proffers of counsel and the testimony received, I'd vote to approve.
Agree.
I concur. Good luck.
Thank you, good luck.
May we be excused?
You may.
Thank you, and have a good holiday.
Same to you.
No exhibits for the record.
Harry Baker Jr. and Zareta Diaz, New Cardinal Tavern LLC, trading as Cardinal Tavern, 901 South Clinton Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service, requesting off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicant.
On behalf of the Cardinals, Mr. Kadensky?
Um,
Okay. Can I ask these folks to raise their right hand?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
For the record, this is a transfer of an existing license, and Mr. Chairman, was with great trepidation that I took this because Mr. Larry Rohrbaugh, who originally built the place out, was a Calvert Hall alum. He then sold it and he passed that off to Mr. Fogelman, and now Mr. Baker is coming in, he's going to keep the same name. It's a neighborhood establishment that has a very good reputation. He's been actually running there and working in the place for the last 2 or 3 months. He was a self-employed restaurant owner in Costa Rica. He's familiar with the rules and regulations of the board. Employees that are there will be the same employees that he has from before, and he's kept them. He actually had a letter from the neighbor that said that he was actually a very good neighbor, and I'll submit this as an exhibit.
It'll be received.
I'm so sorry.
I noticed that, I was wondering if he put his address down, said he was a neighbor, but he did, yes.
And they both the applicants here have had their criminal background check, and they will get their alcohol awareness certificate. And
And is Ms. Diaz, are you going to be working in the establishment as well?
No, I won't.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I do. So I did see also in the file, it's letter of support from the Canton Community Association.
yeah,
For the record, and I guess probably the most important question I have is for my daughter, you're gonna keep the Gulf shrimp romaine salad. It's a regular haunt. I live about a block away, so
Okay.
it's very important. Yeah, I don't need an answer now.
Okay.
I have nothing further. Thanks.
We were debating it, but now we'll.
Please don't do it on her account.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. And I note that there's been zoning approval for, to your request before them as well. So on the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers of counsel and testimony, as well as the exhibits received today, I'd vote to approve the application.
I do as well.
I concur.
Laura?
I call exhibit for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Michael Brown and Valerie Pappas Brown. Thank you. I'll get to see.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, staff was just notified that case number 4, Felix Mendoza, 3123 Elmora Avenue, cannot make today's proceedings and asking that his case be rescheduled for sometime in 2018.
That's fine. Let's get it in, at the earliest date we can, Mr. Page. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will do. Jeremy Friedman, Truth Lounge LLC, trading as Truth Lounge, 4507-09 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment. Please come forward.
for the record, Melvin J. Nancy representing the applicant.
Good morning. Would all those who are going to testify raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Kanansky?
This is a transfer of an existing location. It's been operational. There'll be no change in the type of operation that's there with the live entertainment. Mr. Jeremy Freeman has been working at that location. He is familiar because he had a license before. He has reached out to the media community, which are the people that are here with him today. And he's actually had their community meetings at the establishment, and in fact did their Christmas party there just recently. He has agreed, and I think in the file, there was an MOU from last year with the prior owner signed in January. He has agreed to abide by the same conditions as that MOU, has signed it. I think it's in your file, but I'll submit another copy. You've seen it, haven't you? I think it's your MOU.
It'll be received.
Okay. And also, there was a letter from Margie Dieter, it's right here, who lives in the neighborhood and who's with the community group there, that is in favor of the transfer. I think that's in your file too, but I'll submit it.
Okay.
And if you want, I'll take testimony from Mr. Freeman. You want to state your name and address for the record, please?
Jeremy Freeman, 3801 Bonneview Avenue.
And you've been asked to have the license transferred to you, is that correct?
Yes.
And your prior experiences, that you've had licenses before, is that right?
Yes.
And you've been in here, in this particular location for the past several months?
Yes.
And you've been with the neighborhood groups, you have been, and have them into place for meetings and so forth?
Yes.
And in fact, you're not going to make any changes with regard to the way the place is operated?
No.
And how many employees would you have there?
3.
Right. And you have agreed and to be bound by the terms of the MOU that was previously signed, and you signed that MOU, is that correct?
Correct.
You understand that's going to be part of the record?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further
And you understand that to the extent that it's enforceable, it will be a restriction on your license?
Yes.
The other folks want to testify?
Yeah, just for real briefly.
Okay.
Ms. Nix?
Jeremy, he has been a great,
Excuse me, your name, please?
Sandra Walton,
Walton, W-A-L-T-O-N.
O-N.
And you live in a neighborhood?
Yeah, 4308 Stanwood.
Okay, and you are part of the neighborhood there, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And what is it that you want to tell the board?
I just said he's been a great gentleman to us. Whatever we need, he makes sure he's there for us.
Okay, thank you. Who else?
State
Hi.
your name and address.
Your name, please?
Hi, my name is Patricia Covington. I live at 4224 Stanwood Avenue.
It's Covington, C-O-V-I.
Patricia
Okay.
Covington.
Yes, ma'am.
I live at 4224 Stanwood Avenue.
Okay, and what would you like to tell us?
I'm just saying that Jay's a really great person. He helps us a lot whenever we need help. We used to have a problem, far as parking. He handled that immediately. We have no problems, no fights, no arguments or anything. And he's a great guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Margie Dieter, D-I-E-T-E-R. I'm at 4204 Stanwood, and I was on the first MOU, and I had a lot of precautions the first time, but Jay has went above and beyond working with us, encouraging us to talk about any problems that could come up, or we haven't had any, but, and I fully support him in the transfer.
And you had told me that you had talked with Barbara Jackson from the other group, is that correct?
Last night we
Yeah,
spoke.
and she said that she was making arrangements to meet with Jeremy in January, is that correct?
Yes.
The other group being Harbell?
It's, Harbell is a well, somebody
Sort
else
of an
can take what who
umbrella
Harbell
group,
is.
yes.
I'm not gonna-
Okay. But when you say the other group, I don't know who you mean.
They're Frankfurt, and I think it's a Frankfurt.
Frankfurt Improvement Coalition of Communities.
Ms. Jackson is present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that's the other group you're referring to. All right. So you folks want to testify as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please come up.
I'm Mike Hilliard, Community Services Director of the Harbell Community Organization. We're an umbrella over 27 neighborhoods in Northeast Baltimore, including the Frankfurt Improvement Association. We advised Mr. Freeman early on that Frankfurt would support the application if he negotiated an MOU with the community. And I had communication with Mr. Freeman, and I sent him the MOU, which he presented to you as a template for that negotiation. It's my understanding he then signed that MOU.
The same one that
this
I had.
one, without meeting with Ms. Jackson to negotiate a new MOU. So we and the Frankfurt Improvement Association would be opposed to this license transfer until the applicant actually sits down with that association and negotiates a memorandum of understanding.
And do they have specific things they want to amend from the original MOU?
One thing that I suggested, that the noise not be over 60 decibels at the perimeter of the property, which I don't think is included in the current MOU.
Is that the only change?
That would,
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, as I say, we're an umbrella over multiple community organizations. We support the community organization's
I
position
hear
in the
you.
matter.
So maybe this lady can tell us, is that the only change that you want?
That was the only thing that we got was the decibels, and I originally was saying.
And say your name again, ma'am, please.
My name is Barbara Jackson, and for 17 years I've served as president for that community of more
you
than
crazy,
20,000, yeah, for about 20,000 residents. So the various small neighborhoods presidents, or let's say my vice presidents, in motion me that there had to be something that's also written in there about the noise. And so Mr. Hilliard suggested about this decibels to us, and I told Mr. Freeman that I wasn't really personally opposing him, but we do have to meet in January. And he agreed that would be fine.
So if he agrees to meet with you, you won't oppose him?
I won't oppose him today if he agrees to meet with us, and we will include that part about the decibels in there.
You can certainly amend this if you all reach an agreement.
Yes, we can, yes, okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Commissioners have questions?
Not now, I don't.
I do not.
Okay, well, okay, so on the basis of the materials,
I'm sorry, just one question. You ladies, are you an active member of any association?
I paid my dues, but I don't attend all their meetings.
You think?
I do. I attend the meetings.
I'll attend our neighborhood meetings.
Yes.
And some Frankfurt meetings also.
Weren't you
Go ahead.
recently at the one Tuesday night?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's why I said it's a Frankfurt meeting also.
Chief Foster, may I ask you a question? Are you here to speak to this in some form?
Let me get out your way.
Mark Fossler, Chief Inspector. I'm here to answer any questions that the board may have. I've received some calls of concerns from, over the last several weeks, from citizens in the area who identified problems with the establishment. Speaking for myself, we have had problems with establishments managed by Mr. Freeman, so.
And so, to that point, Mr. Freeman, I noticed that you have owned, and you certainly admitted that you owned previous licenses. Any issues with those establishments in the past?
No.
Okay. All right.
so we talking about serious violations?
I'm talking about just noise-related issues, disturbances, those kinds of problems.
Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Sir?
Okay, on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits that we've received today, including the MOU, the testimony received, and the other exhibits received, upon the condition that Mr. Freeman is going to agree to meet within the next 30 days with Ms. Jackson's organization and discuss with them any concerns they have about noise levels emanating from the establishment, and that everybody will, in good faith, attempt to reach an agreement about that, I would vote to approve the application.
I concur.
I concur as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record.
Nice seeing you again, Ms. Jackson.
Nice meeting you too, and it's quite a few bars we have in the area, you know. So
I've seen you.
with about 21 people on that director board, I had to listen to what they had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter from Margie Dieter. Exhibit number 2, letter from Harbell Community Association dated November 9th, 2017 and December 11th, 2017. Board Exhibit 3, email from Margie Dieter dated 11/30/2017. Exhibit number 4, MOU between Frankfurt Improvement Association and the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Hostler. See this lady. Thank you.
You ready?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. C. Chung Chung and Chung M. Chung, sole proprietor, trading as Charles Village Schnapps Shop, 2941 North Calvert Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for a hardship extension. Please come forward.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hands, please?
Whether you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And you, sir, are?
My name is Che Chung. I'm, the two licensees are my parents. My father could not attend today. He's over the age of 80 and he's not feeling well.
That's fine. I hope he gets better in time for the holidays.
Thank you.
So they're attempting to...
I'm sorry, Che.
CHAE.
They're attempting to obtain a lease for a new location. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And how's that going?
It's proving to be somewhat difficult, especially with the rents having been driven up in that Charles Village area with all the restaurant expansion that's occurred recently. My parents have had that license since 1987, and we were recently forced out of the location as the building ownership changed this past summer, and they decided to put in another restaurant in the location that we were in. Since then, we have been actively seeking another location, but with all the restrictions on where liquor licenses can go, it really narrowed down the choices. And then, like I said, the restaurant rents have exploded in the area, and we didn't want to set up a business just to fail.
So you think with the extension, if it's granted today, that they'll be able to find a location?
Yes, we believe we can find another location. We wanted to stay as close to the old location as possible because we had such strong ties to the local community and the neighborhood. We provided not just liquor and beer, but also household goods, groceries, provided other services that any community member or neighbor needed for us. I've watched kids for people. I've also sheltered quite a few people who were victimized from muggings or assaults in our store because it was the only public place in that area. Like I said, we've been there for 30 years. We're looking for something that we can meet the rent on, and yeah, we've had numerous requests from our former customers reaching out via social media and so on, checking up on us to make sure that we do reopen in the area.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Are there any possible locations in mind that you are considering?
Well, yes. One of the locations that we were looking was the 9 East 33rd Street location. That is a major commercial enterprise setup that currently houses a CVS and about 5 restaurants. There's at least one spot in there that hasn't yet been developed. We were hoping that as time has passed, that the development group that owns that building would come down on their rent requirements as they realize that they can't fill all their spots.
So you work in this as well as your parents?
Yes, I was the primary manager, yes.
Okay. Anything further?
I'm good.
All right. On the basis of the materials that we received, requesting the hardship extension and the testimony we received today, I'd vote to approve it.
I concur.
I concur as well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record.
Charles Stokes, Charles P. Stokes, Inc., trading as Club Rio, 1330 Poplar Grove Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicant licensee.
Mr. Stokes, would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir. Whether you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Kadensky, so what's going on here?
Well, what happened was, in this case, Mr. Stokes had owned and operated the place for a long period of time. He sold the place, and there was a mortgage and a security agreement. The parties who bought it, ironically, one of them is Alex Brown, not the Alex Brown, but Alex, which he was. It was Alex Brown. There were some developers from Washington, and they were from Jamaica, and they thought they were going to come in and redo the place and so forth. But they continuously operated up until February the 19th of 2017. Mr. Gordon Heyman, who had represented Mr. Stokes, was under the impression that if he was not the one operating, although they were operating under the same license, that he would have to ask for these hardships, which, and I know Gordon, he just put the in, but he has proof that they were operating all the way up and had made purchases through January of 2017, and they had closed on February the 19th on 2017. And in the meantime, he's trying to sell the building and move on with it. And this will be his last asset. He understands if the board gives him this extension, he's only got a little window until like February 14th, Valentine's Day. Maybe somebody will be his sweetheart and buy his license. But that's what he's looking for, if you want to be able to look at the purchases that he had brought down. I know he had brought some down, and maybe in your file.
So is Mr. Stokes going to continue to operate the license?
He wants to go ahead and sell the license as his last asset. But quite frankly, and he has some pictures, the guys got in and they wrecked this place. And it's not going to be a tavern anymore. So if whoever benefit that is to the neighborhood would be good.
So he wants to preserve the license so he can sell it?
Yeah, and he understands that he has February 19th, back 5 days. That's what he would have to do it.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
That 1330 Poplar Grove, is that at the split of Longwood and Poplar Grove?
No, sir, it's Belmont and Belmont, no, excuse me. Bloomingdale and Poppy Grove, split right there. To Ellicott driveway, off the bridge. Thank you, sir.
Anything further? Okay. On the basis of the application, materials that are in the file, and Mr. Kadensky's proffers and testimony we've heard, I'd vote to approve the extension.
I concur.
I vote to approve as well.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, happy holiday to you. Thank you.
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you.
Muna Karki and Ashish Bandari, Kishar BDR LLC, trading as Broadway Liquors, 628-30 South Broadway Street, South Broadway. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for transfer or hardship extension. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Steve, or good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant, Ashish Bandari.
Good morning. Want to raise your right hand, sir, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so this has been operational?
Yes, it is operational.
Okay. And you're waiting for clearance from the state?
Right. So the checklist that I'm sure the board's familiar with, I think probably the front office staff is more familiar with how long some of these things take. There's no actual order in which to do all these things in. You can, except for some inspections have to be in a certain order. But for the most part, you can go get your fingerprints today. You can do them at any time within the 180 days. My clients did some improvements on the liquor store at 628 South Broadway. Obviously, that took some time. Got most of the documents they needed, I believe got their fingerprints. Everything's should be in the file, what they have. What they didn't get around to doing until closer to the deadline was the signing of the bulk transfer permit, which is required for the final transfer. Additionally, the current licensee, Mr. Jan Yandasik, he owed some, I believe, he owes a small amount of taxes or a bill due to the city. Unfortunately, for my clients, Mr. Yondasik went on a several-month journey back to where he was born in the Czech Republic after getting out of the bar business for 34 years. So my clients have been operating the bar under a management agreement pursuant and pending this transfer that they were approved for by this board. So effectively, they need some more time. I believe Mr. Yondasik's returning to the United States next week or something, very soon.
First week of January is what you have communicated.
First week of January. So we'd ask for the 90-day extension that's recently been granted by the legislature, and we'll make sure it's done before then. Otherwise, we have to file for a new hearing. Everything has to start over again. So thank you.
Commissioners?
So, Mr. Fogelman, do we give you an extra 90 days or 270 days?
Total is 270. I mean, this statute grants an additional 90 days after the 180 days, which is where we're at. So as long as you give me that end date, we're fine. I'd ask for 90 days from today if you can do that.
Okay. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application for the extension, the proffer from council and testimony we've received, I would vote to approve the transfer hardship extension.
I concur.
I would as well. I agree.
All right, thank you all. Hope you have an enjoyable holiday. We'll see you in 2018. Take care.
No exhibits.
That's Mr. Bandari, correct?
Yeah, Bandari.
Yes.
Thank you.
Valerie Burke, Deborah Guston, The Hanger LLC, trading as The Hanger, 6500 St. Helena Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. This is a request for transfer hardship extension. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good afternoon, Your Honors, or good morning. For the record, Frank Boozer on behalf of Ms. Burke is present to my right.
Good morning. Would everyone who's going to testify raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And Ms. Witt, you're representing?
I'm here representing the St. Helena Community Association.
Okay. I guess she doesn't need to identify herself.
Becky Witt. Sorry.
Okay. Mr. Boozer, you have requested an extension on the transfer in order to complete renovations. Is that correct?
That is correct. As you remember, this license was granted back in June. The Community Law Center filed a request for reconsideration of that license. That, of course, held us up for a little bit. I didn't actually receive a copy of that order until sometime later, but the board denied that request. My clients were trying to move forward, as you might remember, to open a full-service restaurant at this location. We made application at cost and time and expense to my client, engineering fees alone, I think were around $6,000, to the Baltimore City Board of Zoning Appeals. That was fought with such tenacity by the Community Law Center. We were forced to withdraw that appeal at that time, and now they're going to just open a tavern there. They have gone back and filed permits. They have hired all their employees. Again, is all this is correct, Ms. Burke?
Yes.
Hired employees, bartenders. They hadn't hired a chef. That obviously is not going to work out now. And they had their final permits issued and would have been possibly completed and not requested the hardship. The Community Law Center filed an appeal as to the issuance of their permits. So that's where we are today. So I'm asking the board not only an extension of the 270 days or 9 months from the 6-month date, but at 270 days from the date in which the permit issue is settled.
So let's see here.
We've done everything we can.
Okay, so, all right, let me hear from the other side.
Sure. So I did submit a letter on Tuesday, which I believe you have.
I just got it, so,
Oh,
so what
okay.
does it say?
So, yeah, it's a short letter, so I can summarize it. Essentially, the code requires that the board has to find that an existing hardship caused the delay in transferring the license. And according to the Baltimore City website, the permits for the building were applied for on November 29th of this year, which is about 5 months after the approval of the liquor license was given. The actual date of the hearing was June 15th, but then because of the reconsideration, I don't know the exact date of when the board's ruling on the motion for reconsideration was granted, but I think it was a couple of weeks after that, so roughly the end of June. So the building permits were not filed until late November, which is about the time also that the hardship extension request was filed for the liquor license. So it's just the position of the community association that they are opposed to the hardship extension because they haven't really suffered a hardship. They waited to request their permits for 5 months out of the 6-month window that they had to complete their transfer.
If I just may respond, and would have their permits and would be finished, haven't had to pay Mr. Hurdle's office $4,000 to handle the appeal which was taken on those permits. I think the hardship is met.
Commissioners have questions?
None?
Okay.
Sorry, just to address one very last thing that Mr. Boozer brought up. The board only has the discretion to issue an additional 90 days beyond when the board approved the transfer. So the total amount of days that the board has the authority to give is 270 from the approval, which I guess we could say was when the board denied the motion for reconsideration, so the end of June, but I don't have that date in front of me. The actual hearing, again, was on June 15th.
I don't know the exact answer. I mean, I haven't had any opportunity to look at that. But if we do grant the extension, it will be for whatever we are authorized by law to do. So I'll leave it to you all to determine what that is. Yes.
The date of the board denied the motion for reconsideration was July the 12th, 2017.
Okay.
Will be from that date.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Page. Anything further?
No. About the hardship? Yeah. Oh, this is Shirley Gregory, who's the president of the St. Helena Community
Was she sworn?
Association. She was, yes.
Okay, Ms. Gregory, please step up.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Good. Yeah, I'm representing the St. Helena Community Association, not necessarily myself and as an individual, even though I do live near where the establishment is being taken care of. One of the main things that the association has been very much neglected on the reopening of the bar is because of the fact that it's been closed since 2015. So it has not served one drop of alcohol since November of 2015. So it's been closed for 2 years. And that's one of the things that we've been stressing, trying to get through on this. And then recently I was informed that the council has actually made a comment that if we pursue them, then they're going to go after us for, what was it? Sorry.
As one of my colleagues on circuit court used to say, God bless America.
Yeah. So, help me.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't address the issue.
No,
I understand
well,
it does.
It is to us, so.
I understand that it's important to you, but it's
I mean,
not
it was
the
for
issue.
harassment, that's it. But we're not harassing them. We're following suit. It's not like I'm
Both sides are
stalking
entitled to
or
pursue their legal
anything like
remedies.
that. Exactly. We're following the law.
That's fine.
That's why I hired Mr. Hurdle, Mr. Chairman. That being said, just in a brief response, testimony was taken at length as to the issue of whether or not it was open. The board decided.
I understand that that was the issue the last time that everybody was here.
That's
and
all we have.
That horse has left the barn. Okay, commissioners?
No question.
All right, on the basis of the request that's in the file, the proffer from counsel, testimony received, the opposition that we've heard, both the legal argument from Ms. Witt and from this lady, and I have Ms. Gregory, Ms. Gregory's testimony. I would vote to approve the transfer hardship extension to the extent that it is permitted from July 12th of this year.
I concur.
I concur.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chairman.
Good luck, everybody. And is that our last case for the morning, Mr. Kay? Go ahead.
I'd call the exhibit for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of opposition from Community Law Center dated 2017. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Liquor Board wishes everybody a happy holiday, and we will see you next year.
The board is in recess until Thursday, January the 4th, 2018, 11 a.m. Thank you.